Hello, welcome to another episode of The Joy of Building. In this series, we aim to bring the joy to your life by building a city in the City Skylines. Today we're building the city of St. Anthony, and we're just going to jump right into it. The project we're going to start out with today is preparing this corner, or this triangle area here, for a shopping center. It's going to be a while before we actually get this shopping center filled out, but that's where we're going to put it, is right in here, the shopping center. Just trying to figure out the scale of the buildings and how much room we have to play with for the parking lot, so to speak. I think that's the first thing we're going to get in here, is the parking lot. Remember, there's no stress. No stress. No reason for it. Doesn't get us anywhere. Doesn't get us anywhere. There's really no right way to do this. We're just trying to make sure it's symmetrical, even, consistent. Nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. I think we'll have enough room here for the buildings. We don't have enough cash right now. That's okay. We're not going to let that bother us. We'll worry about that later. We'll worry about that later. Not right now. I'm going to try out a few buildings here, hoping I can afford one of them, but I really can't. Kind of poor. I don't know why we're going to put this fence in here, but we are. We don't need it right now. We don't need it right now, but we're going to put it in anyways. Just going to quickly finish up this parking lot. Nothing crazy here. Nothing crazy here. Real simple. Real simple. It's important to start from the ends of your parking lot here when filling out the filler. This forces all the weird spaces to be consolidated into one area, as you can see there. Spaces where you're probably not going to have any parking is what's going to end up happening there, which is fine. It creates a unique development, we could say. Just trying to turn around all these curb pieces so that they are rightly orientated here. Just a little bit of playing around, a little bit of fiddling, nothing too crazy. No sense in getting stressed out or overworked about it. Just got to do what you got to do in order to get it to look the way you want. Takes a little bit of playing around, but once it's done, no stress. No stress. We'll just get these parking spaces in now, and then we'll move on to the next thing. Gotta fiddle with these roads, get them in the places we want. Get it to look the way we're trying to get it to look. This is just one way to build a parking lot. It's not the only way or the way. This is just one way. These things aren't cooperating, but we don't let that bother us. We don't always want to go in the direction that we tell them, but that's okay. We don't let that bother us. We don't let it stress us out or let us get worried. We just do what we got to do here. No stress. No stress. I think we're going to have to plan the entrances and exits here now, how we're going to get in and out of this parking lot. It's complex. Something like this. Real simple. Nothing too crazy here. Always good to have a couple entrances and exits. And it's good to place the entrances and exits on the middle nodes rather than on the end nodes. You'll end up with a lot of congestion trying to do that. This gives a good space for cars to move and build up, and no stress. No stress. Again, we're going to try to put some buildings in here, but we ultimately don't have the cash to support it. And we really don't have the commercial demand anyways, so there's no real need to get these in here. No real need. It's going to be a few episodes before we actually get this filled out, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll move on to other projects. We'll move on to another project. I think the next thing we're going to do is start to rework our downtown and get it to look the way we're hoping for. Nothing too crazy here. It's always nice to take a quick peek at the cinematic camera to see what it looks like flying in. We have quite the residential demand now, so I think it's the next goal we're going to do here is expand upon our residential. Gotta get the water in first, of course. These nodes weren't connected, that's why I'm deleting them and replacing them. Sometimes they don't always connect in there, which is why the water wasn't running down there. Especially if you're playing with the mods on. I enjoy running these power lines through the city. I think it gives a more a realistic look. Again, as always, we're balancing realism with game mechanics. So this is just one of those things I think that adds just a touch of realism to the world, to the map, to the game, to the city. And like I said, we're just going to fill out some of this residential over here, eat up some of the demand we have. Nothing crazy here. Nothing too crazy. Just keeping it simple. Like I said, I want to redevelop the way that this downtown core looks. I've got a mind set for what I want it to look like, and we're gonna try out a few new things here in this series and see how they turn out. Try a few different tools we've never used before. Try a few different techniques we've only thought about but never actually tried. Now here I'm going to go through and I'm going to quickly set up my building choices because I haven't gone ahead and done that yet. I'm trying to find all the buildings, and clearly I don't have them set up yet with RICO. So we'll have to go and do that, and I think that's the next thing we're going to do. I'm trying to find it. I thought I had downloaded Find It, but it didn't. I don't plan on using Find It for some time here. So I finally decided that I need to set up the buildings here, so I'm going to go through and set up a bunch of buildings and get ready for this development. So we're back, and I've done that. Now we can start placing down some of our residential we want to fill in here. Now these are going to be townhomes, so they're going to be all joined together, really compact and dense. I have a look I'm going for here. This is a classic city move. Traditionally is to put townhomes in. I'm going to put a road down the center here and realize there's not enough room to do what I'm going to do, so we're going to end up reorientating these roads so we can fit more in. So you need two spaces for these guys, and you're going to end up with 3.5 on each side, so it doesn't really work the way I was trying to do it. So we're going to just, like I said, reorientate all these buildings and try a different development plan here. We're not worried about these roads lining up. I'm not worried about that because that'll be dealt with in the future. If it gets dealt with. It might just stay that way. We don't know yet. Well, I do, but you don't. These also only have one household in each of them, and we're going to change that to 2 because it's clear that there's 2 households per building here. Double placed a few buildings there. Hard to tell, but I did. This should really deal with a lot of the residential demand we have. Nope, no stress. Absolutely no stress. That's the key, remember. Just to have a little bit of fun. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the commercial buildings. I haven't gone through and selected all the commercial buildings, so I'll do that, and maybe we'll cut it out because it's going to be quite a task to do. Let's see here. I'm really looking for very specific height and sized buildings here to make our downtown look kind of like a classic downtown. I mean, it's a little over-exaggerated. Obviously, for artistic style. So, you know, if you go into an older downtown, you wouldn't see buildings this tall, but like I said, this is an exaggeration in art style, an artistic flair, you could say. There's no right way to do any of this stuff. We're just trying to build it up and achieve a look that we want. Again, trying to meld realism with game functionality. You can't make this game play 100% realistic. Unfortunately or fortunately, depends on, I guess, who you are. There's a lot of realistic aspects of the game, but there's a lot of things that aren't, and require you to make a compromise and accept the fact that this game has little things you have to do in order to make it play properly. So we're going to start out with a bunch of commercial units down here, and this is going to get upgraded with residential on top eventually. And you're saying, but there is no mixed use, unless you mod, of course. And, well, I'm not going to mod for mixed use. I'm going to show you a little technique I like to do to mix commercial and residential together. That's really not the new thing we're going to try. There's one other little thing we're going to try here that's new and I've never done before. You know, we're going to have a few little issues that show up, but ultimately we'll resolve them in time. And even the way I end up with them in the current state, still a lot of changes going to happen to it, because I found a few new tools that are going to make it a lot nicer, you could say. Still running into a money issue here. Don't have enough money for all these buildings. That's alright. It's alright. We don't worry about that. We don't stress about it, because money comes in time. We'll have it. Just gotta wait patiently. Just remember, there's no right way to do any of this stuff. There's building a city the way you're hoping it looks, and trying out different things. Just trying to build a functional city that also looks the way we're going for it. Like I said, no stress here. Absolutely no stress. And as I said before, some of these buildings are a little over-exaggerated for what you'd see in a historical downtown, but that's the artistic side of things, you know. A little over-exaggerated. Looks good now. Now we're just going to continue to fill out the other side of the street. Nothing too crazy here. Nothing too crazy here. We don't get crazy here. Not often, anyways. Just like to keep things simple and enjoyable so that we can relax and have a fun time building a city. Like I said, we're here to bring joy into your life by building a city in Cities Skylines. And there's no right way. There's no right way. So we've done that. Now we've got a nice little downtown formed, and you know, got some commercial and residential medium density, I'd say, forming here. We have some issues here with the townhomes despawning, and I figured that might be due to there not being any zoning underneath, but it's actually just because I hadn't turned on the right settings here in RICO. And we'll come to figure that out in a minute and not let it stress us out. Once we figure it out, we'll have this all situated again. The key here is to make sure you deselect the growable option. Yeah, sometimes you have to do that, sometimes you don't. Some buildings require that, some don't. You also have to make sure you hit save and apply. Save and apply. Little learning things. The mods have changed since the last time I played at this point, so I was relearning and learning new aspects of the mods. Didn't realize that that was something I had to worry about. Never had to worry about that in older iterations of the mod. So that save and apply feature, that's what you gotta do. You gotta hit that save and apply. Now we know. Now we know. So it'll be all solved. We'll put these buildings back and life will be back to normal. Nothing crazy here. Nothing crazy. Keeping it simple. Keeping it easy. They're complaining about taxes being too high because I have spiked it to 13%. So, you know, maybe they don't think they should pay 13% for living so densely. And maybe they're right. So we'll give them a tax break. Give them a tax break. Just a 1% tax break, of course. Now they're down to 12%. So they don't mind paying 12%. But they did mind paying 13%. Whatever. At the end of the day, we're going to make money. It doesn't really matter. It really comes down to the fact that we're using dirt roads here, and there's not enough services to make them feel like paying 13% tax is worth it. Same with these commercial units. They seem to be complaining about 13% tax. So we'll give them a tax break as well for 1% on the commercial there. No stress. No stress. Not enough workers. We'll solve that by putting more residential in. No stress, as always. We don't stress here, we just play the game and do what we gotta do. Excuse me, to get the results we're looking for. So I do have a node painting tool down, a road painter tool down, but right now we're not worried about that. We're just focused on getting the city where we want, and then we'll come back later and we'll work on that. We'll make them look pretty, all the roads, and we'll start to devise a a look for this, a way we want the system to look and the roads to look. We already have an elementary school, but it does look like we're going to need a high school here in a minute. Perhaps, oh, no, never mind, we do have a high school down. I thought we didn't, but we do. We must have placed them at the same time. Gonna get a little park in here, a little playground, increase the land value here, make everybody more happy. Things are getting abandoned here because we don't have enough workers, but that's okay, this will solve itself. We're not worried about it, it'll solve itself. Hopefully soon we can get rid of these toll booths because we'll be making enough tax income. Looks like it's time to upgrade our garbage facilities here. Add a couple more landfills and a couple of incinerator units. The goal here is to remove that other dump from downtown here and redevelop that whole area. That'll be the goal eventually. Just continuing to expand out our residential here and making sure they're in the right districts, so they're built with the correct theme. Really simple, really simple. No stress here, no stress. A lot of these buildings got abandoned simply due to we not having commercial, partly, and not having commercial demand, partly, and not having enough people to fill the workplaces that are here. Here we're just filling out the concrete, making it solid concrete underneath these buildings. Things are coming together nicely. Things are coming together nicely. Absolutely no stress. No stress. Just letting the simulation run and waiting for it to tell us what to do next. Tweaking the road system a little bit. In America, in Canada, we don't often have a straight through lane with our left turns. Often left turns are dedicated. So I'm just going to go through and try to fix this so that that's what it does. It's dedicated left turns with your straight through on the right turn lane. Put some stop signs in rather. We're not ready yet for lights, traffic lights. The only downside to one of your junctions are so close there. One of the downsides anyways is getting these stop signs situated. No stress though. Absolutely no stress. Things are coming together real nice, so we don't let that bother us. Bless me. Sorry about that. Lots of commercial, residential demand, and so we gotta make sure to put the pipelines in here so we can continue filling out this demand, continuing to expand the city, the town, whatever you want to call it at this point. The fun really hasn't even begun yet. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning. The real fun begins soon. Oh yes, it sure does. Here we're just going to check to see if we can up the amount of taxes we're making these people pay now that we've increased land value just slightly. Just slightly. A little bit of lag. A little bit, I mean a lot. Don't know why, don't know what happened here. It's not like the game is saving. But it is lagging, so we'll just give it a second to figure out what the problem is. Real lag. I don't know what we did to cause the lag. It just came out of nowhere, just a big lag spike. It was running perfectly fine until then. Don't let that bother us though. You just let it work itself out. It'll figure it out soon. Looks like it's working its way through now. There we go. I'm debating whether I want to do trains, trams, or buses for our local transit. The thing about trams is that you have to kind of plan for them at the beginning of your building of your city. They really are infrastructure heavy, and we noticed here you can't increase their rent, their taxes to 13%. They really don't like that, so we'll just keep them at 12. Keep them at 12. If we could, I think we want to add another piece to this farm over here. We can't. Got a lot of residential demands, so I think we're going to continue expanding this development pattern out, just maybe for another block anyways. We'll see where we go in the future, but for now, just another block of this townhome. I was thinking maybe a different style, break it up, but at the end of the day, we end up using the same houses we used earlier. I don't think I've upgraded them to two households per unit yet. So that's coming. That'll rapidly increase the number of people living in this downtown. So much so, I think that part of the traffic issue we have later down the road ends up being caused by this. So we don't let that bother us, though. Building a city is much like building a brick wall. Place one brick at a time, and you place the foundations in the eighth brick perfectly, or as perfect as you can. The next brick goes on just as easy. Before you know it, you have a brick wall. You didn't really think about too much other than just placing the brick you're focused on right now, getting it in place. Just getting that brick in place. So using the land value, I've determined that there's room here for a medium density apartment complex. I'm not sure which apartments we're going to use here, I can't remember, but we do end up with a little apartment complex here. We can get one more of these guys in here, I think, and we will try, maybe, get a fourth unit in there. I really do think you can fit 4 in there, but maybe we only put 3. Maybe we only put 3. That's what it looks like. As we place in development, higher density development, we'll also go ahead and upgrade the road while we're doing that. Might as well. I think the fun will begin here shortly when we decide to dam this river. That's when things get really exciting, you could say. Trying to figure out the priority roads here. We kind of already knew that this was a main road and going across here, and that the Riverside Road isn't necessarily the actual major road, so we're going to prioritize movement on the main road rather than the side road that's just for mostly commercial, residential rather, sorry. Going to fill out these blocks, try to plan the next section of the city here. Now, whatever you want to call it. I have a bit of lag in it again. It happens every now and then. It's not like we're saving either, so I don't know where this comes from. Don't let it bother us though. Got this diagonal road in. That's the important one. And it's going to meet up with this horizontal road going across here. Going to continue the side road systems. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. Nothing crazy, just continuing the development pattern we've already established. Just continuing the development pattern we already established. This keeps a consistent look to the city. And that's what you want. That's what you want. You want consistent look. Just waiting for cash. Just waiting for cash. Don't have very much of it, but we're just waiting for it to come in so we can finish that little development piece there. debating whether I should have continued that over to the side road. We do need a connection to the back side of the side road there. This will work out like this. And it does look like this has become a main road here. So we're going to develop a side road system maybe on this one side. Maybe we'll keep the houses on the other side. It's not atypical of a city to do that. To have commercial on one side and residential on the other of a major road. You know, we started out developing the commercial there and only determined that it was going to be a main road after that. So, like in a regular city, you don't normally de-zone residential, as usually you have to pay for the land as the town when you want to do that. And you don't want to spend money doing that as a town, so you just work with it. We've now developed commercial residential there, so you'll just leave it there for now until the city says it can't be rid of it. Maybe maybe the traffic will build up there and they don't want to live there anymore, so comes a good time to redevelop it. But for now, we're just going to leave it that way. Not stress about it. Not stress about it. There's no reason to stress. Stressing doesn't help us with anything. It doesn't get us anywhere. Gonna fix up this the districts here, and always remember your major roads shouldn't have district over them. That way you can use the heavy traffic ban policy. This will stop a good majority of the traffic from going into your residential areas where they don't need to be. You know, you don't need delivery trucks in the residential area. You don't need big transports in the residential area, so you can cut that out using the heavy traffic ban. So you don't want that on your major roads, is what I'm getting at there. So after that, I think we're going to call it a day. As always, have a good one. Bye.